Peace, quickly, think fast. You could get very bored in a routine. You know, just caught the little vibe of like the reason why it's so important for us to do different things within our day and not be caught up in the same loops. Because also, we're dealing with certain loops of doing the same thing. We also get bored, and by being bored, it meaning in essence too. Shout out to Dolo speaking, breaking down that essence of the aspect of bored down, and like you're boarding yourself in, basically, putting some walls up when you're bored. You're putting some boards up and blocking yourself into this hellacious realm, into this loop, and not going anywhere. So just that awareness of spicing things up, because like say for instance, I could be like, let me go. And I've spoken to that in videos where like sometimes, like you could choose to expand and do something different, but like your ego will try to place it in an area where it doesn't necessarily serve a purpose. But for the most part, doing something new in general, as long as you feel a vibe of like, all right, this is not gonna bring my energy down. Like I'm not going to a club where the people fight all the time. Like I'm doing something new, but that new thing isn't going to a club where people fight all the time or some of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And I know better. Like that new experience is gonna bring me back and not necessarily forward. But just a new experience by doing something different in general, because what happens is when you're doing something new, you have a certain level of awareness that's more in your moment, because you're dealing with new, like you're passing new buildings and seeing new people, so you're so in that moment compared to when you're bored, and you're doing the same thing over and over again. So as you're back doing that same thing, you're not enjoying it, and so you're not feeling your moment, and therefore you're in your thoughts. So by doing things that allow for you to be bored or doing the same thing over and over, it basically is a formula for you going back into your thought realm, you know what I'm saying, and sitting there and like, I could be here. I remember when this happened to me when I was a little kid. I wish this would change, but you're in your thoughts instead of actively being in your moment. So just realizing the little aspect of going, because I thought about, like, for me, like, every now and then I catch a bus to a side of town I ain't never been on or whatever, and sometimes it could seem like it's so extremely random and don't serve a purpose, but then when I look back at it, I'm like, well, I was allowed to be in the moment and have a different experience, because again, being aware that the ego vibes can try to trick you into that vibe of like, all right, shit, we're gonna do something new, but this new thing is gonna be something that that doesn't really necessarily help and is more harmful than help. And which honestly at this point, it depends on where you're at in your growth. If you're new on your growth, yeah, you might need to meditate and work on developing a relationship with your inner voice, to where you could really know more that your inner source, and that your heart energy is speaking to you instead of your egoic mind. But for the most part, again, doing different things allows for you to really be fully indulged. Think about when you went somewhere for the first time, how attentive you was, like your first day of school, you know, whether it was junior high, first day of high school, whatever. Like you like, oh shit, new hallway, new students, new situations, new everything. You know what I'm saying? So you're constantly in the moment of being, in that situation, compared to like after a couple of years in that same school and things just becomes like autopilot. It's like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Which dealing with new school vibes, like say new school, but like say for instance from six to going from elementary to junior high and from junior high to high school, it's about those transitions could provide some type of excitement. And looking at least me in my realm, because I tapped out on school like around sixth grade, 7th, 8th grade, more so 8th grade. I keep it real. I start to realize like, all right, I'm jumping through hoops for my parents to say, hey, he made a good grade, when a lot of this shit I don't even really need to learn like that, you know what I'm saying? But long story short, back to the situation. I ain't gonna fall off the branch. when you first, go into that high school, it's like, oh yeah, all that shit fire. But then after your first year, or second year, or third year, however long it takes, it becomes like boring because you're seeing the same shit, same people, same things. Of course, hey, some new freshmen get enrolled, but I mean, it's the same cookie cutter situation every single day, and you get bored, and then you go to being in your thoughts because you wishing that you were somewhere else and doing something more different and exciting, and instead of actually doing it, you just try to do it within your thoughts, where you allow for your thoughts to try to take you from to somewhere else, when in all actuality your thoughts is just disrupting your alignment. Because again, if you would want to be somewhere else, then do something different. You know what I'm saying? Instead of staying in the same repetitive situation, we got to break out of these lesson loops, do something different, shake things up a bit. But again, just speaking to that aspect of when we having new experiences, we're more in the moment compared to being bored with the same old situation over and over again. And it also has to deal with a solar plexus, more so solar plexus than sacral chakra, but a solar plexus blockage. Because in some way, form, or fashion, you're not confident, or more so not being your creative center is not very active. Because when we're creative, we're thinking of new things to do and new ways to vibe, like every second, you know what I'm saying? Because it's constantly flowing, compared to, it feeling like, bro, well, what should I do? I can't think of nothing new to do today, you know what I'm saying? And again, it'll start off kind of slow, because again, we're coming from a habitual nature of operating through time and not realizing that we're timeless. But as we're growing into a place of being in the moment and realizing that we're timeless, and that it's all about enjoying your every moment within your existence, and the past and the future exist simultaneously right now. So the most important aspect of your being is being in the now, you know what I'm saying? Like being in the moment. Because again, the moment that your moment becomes unblissful or repetitive, you'll get bored, and then you'll go to getting boarding yourself up in your thoughts, in your thought realm. Shout out to my little alfalfa strand. Hey. To get bored in your thoughts. But that's all I wanted to share, just to have that awareness, to spicing things up a bit. And it's a constant growth, because I catch myself, like, I go on a nice stint of, like, just vibing, mixing up. And then that little, old programming, that little energy, comes back for whatever reason, because maybe I've been slacking in meditation or slacking in affirmations. But, and that's the whole part of this situation, that's what gives us something to do, is a constant balance, Like, because you could be like, oh, when I balance this side, something else become unbalanced. Well, hey, look, you got something to do. You constantly got something to give you, you know what I'm saying? You'll never be bored. You always have something to balance and work on and expand. Because that's the whole aspect of us realizing, too, that this is a never-ending story. We're constantly expanding. And the only hell, in essence, and only if you really perceive it that way, but in essence, only hell is being dammed up and not continually evolving and expanding, to just stay dammed up in one little chakra or one little world, one little world, or Taurus field, little whirlpool. You staying stagnant in that little whirlpool, and you're not, transitioning into different experiences, or incarnating into different experiences. You're constantly just staying in the same loop. Think about it, like, why we feel like, oh man, we watching the same reruns over and over. And that's how our self and our spirit guides feel about us too, whenever we doing the same shit over and over. Imagine you being a spirit guide. Like, put yourself, and it's not hard. Just imagine, like, fall back for a second and be like, all right, I see what I do every day. Imagine having to watch that every day. Like, you would be like, bro, this is a boring ass show. This motherfucker get up, do this, do that, and do this every single fucking day, and never do anything outside of that. Now, again, as I'm saying that, it's not to be extravagantly trying to overdo things, like our life, in essence is very simple, do what you love and everything falls in place, but for the most part, again, like high self and spirit guys looking at like, bruh, fuck that, like I'm gonna take this motherfucker book sack, because if I don't, this motherfucker will continuously do the same thing every day. And I done spoke on how I got my book sack taken before in certain little aspects where you would think, oh, the universe did something bad to me, when it really was helping me and trying to help me break out of a damned lesson loop, being dammed up, or basically stopping the flow, So again, our high self and spirit guys like, fuck, let me shake something more. Let me make him lose his piece of Moldavite, and maybe he or she find some new ways to find the crystal and go on a journey to find that crystal. And in that journey, in the high self, like, and when they going to find that new piece of Moldavite, I could send these different little energies and experiences, to, within their realm on their journey to help spicing things up even more, And that's why too, again, like why micromanaging and being rigid, has no place for us anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because rigidness, micromanaging will in most cases turn to like doing the same thing all the time, or staying within a rigid rigid routine. And that's one thing, for sure, that like Capricorns in a lot of cases, sun sign Capricorns is getting a lot of blues. Sun sign Capricorns in Western astrology, let me add, getting a lot of blues right now, because again, like, we're moving into a place that taps more into emotions, and that's something that we're rigid about. We from the winter time, we cold, Saturn, that cold, strong ass teacher. And also, again, the Saturn energy is discipline, structure, all these things being mapped out and having goals set and having a destination and this and that. And where that energy is not necessarily like, again, like that overly structured, rigid rule setting, which can be a negative aspect of the Saturn energy, like when it's overbearing and it's out of balance. You could be micromanaging what you do too much, and that's again why a lot of us dealing with these upheavals, feeling like something is being like, oh man, the universe seems like it's fucking over me. No, it's not. It's helping you. You live in a rerun in the universe, like, bro, I want to watch something new. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically. But that's basically it. Make sure you're grounding, getting the feet in the ground, letting that. Check out my video on the sciatic nerve. That's one of my earliest, I think it's a crystal video, but also on my holistic health, our eternal health playlist. It may be on there as well, but the sciatic nerve, the longest nerve in the body that runs from the heel of the foot all the way up to the brain stem, So it's basically taking that shamanic resonance from the heels up into the body, So that's why earthing is so important, getting that sunlight, remembering that the sun is inside of us. But, again, we could connect and interface with the external sun, but it's not to get lost in the sauce of, worshiping the sun or externalizing the sun on that level. It's realizing the sun is within us, and realizing everything is within. Everything starts off within, inside. And as things pop off inside, it creates a certain external realm. And if we're not consciously aware that we're creating our external realm, then we could fall asleep and fall into a vibe of reacting to the external realm, therefore creating external situation due to paying attention to external energies, compared to creating your external realm due to what's going on inside of you and tapping into your inner soul. Not all the things that come from our subconscious that we were taught by our parents and family, and the things we were taught in the first 7 years of our life, that doesn't necessarily resonate with our soul. Is about being in alignment with our soul, like our own inner guidance. We are all each unique as fuck, yeah, interconnected, you know, a part of that no thing that is no thing in all things at the same time, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, we all have a unique vibrational signature. It's like a potluck. We all good at creating a certain dish, you know. And whenever we trying to create somebody else's dish, you know, like, you know, I'm good at making French fries, but I'm trying to make hot dogs like so and so down the street who's great at making hot dogs. Then the world is missing out on the best French fries because I'm not cooking the French fries that I was destined to cook because I'm trying to copy so and so down the street making hot dogs. You know, it's like be true to your design. You know, shout out to Kid Cudi and Andre 3 Stacks, the song Design. When you're thinking too much, you're removing what's moving. Hey, but that's basically it, y'all. Peace, peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now. Peace, peace.